Hi, this is Shauna, the CEO and founder of Fuel Talent. One of the things I have loved most in my 25-year recruiting career has always been the stories that people tell. Stories of leadership, career choices, company ideas, and team building. My inspiration for starting the What Fuels You podcast came from being curious about people's lives and wanting to help share their stories. What path brought them to this place? What decisions did they make that led to failures and successes? Who influenced those decisions, and what lessons were learned along the way? I hope you enjoy the What Fuels You podcast. Scott Swerland is here with me today on the What Fuels You podcast. At age 15, Scott incorporated his first business and has been an entrepreneur ever since. He is currently the founder and CEO of Seattle Suntan, chairman of the board at Urban Float, and he recently announced his latest venture, TruFusion, where he's partnering with Russell Wilson and Alex Rodriguez. He's an incredible father to 4 boys, and most importantly, he's my big brother. Welcome, Scott.
Why, thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome. Are you ready to start with rapid fire?
I'm totally ready to start rapid fire.
Okay, favorite movie?
Untouchables.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Ryan's song.
No,
Remember that movie?
40 years ago,
Did they cry? A person you wish you could have lunch with?
I should know this because I listen to all your podcasts because I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I would say Jeff Bezos.
Oh, maybe you can make that happen.
Maybe.
Give him a call. Would you rather be a rock star or a movie star?
Definitely a rock star.
I knew it. I guessed that one. Trait you most admire in others?
Passion.
I love that. Well, you're passionate, so you surround yourself with a lot of passionate people, and you are, I think, really good at creating passion within your team. I think you've done a great job of instilling passion in them. Whenever I'm in Seattle Suntan or any of your companies, I'm surprised by the tenure. And those industries have a lot of turnover. Yeah. And people stick with you.
Yeah, business is very hard, and we try and make it fun, and we try and encourage a first family environment. And I've been in business 15 years this upcoming October.
Yeah.
And I believe that I've got employees 13 years, 10 years, a number of 10 years. It's all about building a family and building the culture. Culture is key in building anything.
Well, I think the cool part is, from what I see with your employees, they all seem to feel connected to you and feel that they have access to you. Describe kind of who you were as maybe kindergartner.
Kindergartner. Well, I recall being in trouble a lot with the school, with my teachers. I guess nowadays you look back and you say, oh, well, clearly he was ADD, and clearly I was ADD, and even in my older years, as I'm coming up on a big birthday in 18 months, I'm managing to deal with the ADD.
It serves you well.
It fuels
now.
me.
Yeah, it fuels you now.
Yeah.
But when you're little, I think that sometimes schools don't know how to. They take a classroom of 26 people, and it's like, hey, this kid's distracted or distracting.
Yeah. I was told many times that I would never succeed by principals, by teachers. So I think that was I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder wanting to prove myself.
Mm-hmm. I've had a few conversations with leaders that talk about that, like kind of what drives you. And some are that they want to prove themselves right, that they are successful, and others are to prove other people wrong who doubted them. But I also think you had a lot of people who did believe in you. And so can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think, especially being a father of 4 and an uncle to 3, having positive reinforcement. I remember mom and dad, going to work with dad from the time I was, 5 years old, and being given tasks and being told, oh, you're doing a good job, and winning in those moments where you need to win when you're in those formidable ages. And if I wasn't doing a good job, I was certainly told I wasn't doing a good job, and here's how you can do a better job.
Well, I like the part that Dad has said, because I think it's challenging to raise kids. And I think you've done a great job of teaching your kids the value of work and the value of finishing things and hard work.
Dad was very into, look, if I'm going to pay $10 to the gardener to mow the lawn, and he does a professional job, the job is yours so long as you do a professional job, and I'll pay you the same $10. And Dad always jokes now that I mowed the lawn 4 times a day to get $40, which was a joke.
That's funny.
I never did that, Dad, so stop telling that story.
That's funny. I can see that. And so, did you have any influences along the way as far as teachers that did give you that kind of confidence to propel forward? Because you did well in school. You ended up going to USC.
Well, I did well when I got focused. I did extremely well in accounting and finance and business classes when I got to school. And it wasn't until I think my junior year that I said, you know what, I really do want to go to school and I really want to make something of myself. And so then I got a 4.0 or a 3.8 or whatever, and was able to get into USC and then focused on business, which is what I love, and had a great time.
And so what other kinds of things were you into or kind of passionate about when you were little, and how are those things changing over time?
Well, I've always been passionate about cars.
Yes.
I mean, cars, I love cars.
Yes, I used to have to play Matchbox cars.
Yes. And I'm passionate about kind of anything that's motorized. And what I'm finding out now more about myself is that I am a adrenaline junkie. I just got done doing my first trip heli skiing.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And you know, your heart is racing, and there's mini avalanches, and there's massive snow, and you're skiing waist deep. And I'm a total adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
And the older I get, I think the worse it's getting. But I'm also slowing down in many senses.
Yeah. Most people who know you would describe being around you as feeling like they have a piece of that adrenaline, because you bring a lot of energy and passion to everything that you do. And the people that are around you just know that you'll move mountains for your friends. And to me, I'm not surprised that you said passion as far as a value. What values do you look for in friendships?
I really look at people that are sincere. That's really what it's all about for me. And are they passionate in their life? And do they give me the passion that I need? People that, want to give back through their experience or whatever it is. But as long as they're giving something, then I'm attracted to those people.
And what would you tell your younger self now?
Well, I think, one thing that's come through with my YPO experience is that I'm the glue to my, certainly my forum, and then, to a larger extent, very involved at the chapter level, which is, 88 members, and I am the incoming chapter chair. And so that's been interesting. I've always thought of myself as getting involved, but when you have your very close friends, men and women, say that, that I'm part of the glue that makes it work for them, that's been kind of moving.
Oh, I'm sure. And so as far as telling your younger self that, would that be kind of to become more of a leader for others younger? Did you have what it took back then?
I think that, with age comes wisdom, and it seems like the older I get, the easier it becomes. I think that I've always been a leader. I often tell people I'm a great employer. I'm not such a good employee because I've been fired a few times, and luckily I learned from those experiences what not to do and what to do. And it was all pretty much, anytime I was fired, I was favoring more for the people that were working for the company, and that was not in
the interest of
the owners of the company. So I learned that at a pretty young age, and I was always, I would say that I was maybe trying to hit triples when I should just hit singles. and keep hitting singles and keep hitting singles. So I think,
I don't know if that's in your DNA. I mean, well, we'll get into all the stuff that you've got going on because I know, okay, so after high school, you went to USC, and then after college, when you started Savvy Shopper, which a lot of Seattle people are probably familiar with.
It was actually
what was
Savvy. It was Savvy.
Yeah, it was Savvy.
And then we morphed that in the late 90s into SavvyShopper.com.
Right.
Because no one was shopping at brick and mortar retail, if you recall. So we morphed that into an internet company and was very successful at that until, Maria Bartiromo and Ron Insana on CNBC said that the internet was over. We were part of the dot-com bust, and that was a big fail. And I was 30, and I thought, this is terrible. I'm never going to be able to, be my own boss again. And that lasted about 18 months, and then I was my own boss again.
Yeah. Well, I remember that. It was the good old days because I was living in San Francisco, and you had incredible clothes, and I would come do my shopping, and then my friends would want clothes sent to them. And it's a tough business, I think. But you've chosen kind of tough businesses, retail, what's the hardest thing about Seattle Suntan, about being the CEO? And how many locations do you have?
At SST Group, we have 3 brands. We have Seattle Suntan, Desert Sun, and Seattle Sun Light Spa. And we have 58 corporate locations and about 86 in the system. And I would say the toughest thing about leading the SST Group is the staff. Mm-hmm. And that is kind of what I call reparenting America's youth force for today and beyond. And that is, it's very hard when the kids today are so, they're oblivious as to what it really takes to get ahead. And they want everything now. And it kind of starts with technology. If I send you a snap and you don't reply, or I send you a text and you don't reply, then I'll send you a question mark. If you don't reply, I'll send you another question mark. And then I'll say, everything okay, LOL. And if you don't reply, I think that you're angry with me.
Oh, this is the employees.
Yeah, this is how the employees think. And this is how they operate. And this, quite frankly, is how we all operate. And so that's instant gratification. So when someone comes to me and this is their first job or their second job, and they want to be vice president of the company in 90 days.
Has that happened?
Absolutely. It happens. It absolutely happens. And so I get out my scratch pad and I draw this graph of time and money and how, if you work this long, then you're going to get some more money. If you work this long, you're going to get more money. And then over time, and that time pendulum might be 10
more
years.
More
responsibility might be 10 years. And then if I ask them to draw their horizon, it's 90 days. And you get to the same point in life. Vice president of everything in 90 days, or I'm trying to spread it out over 10 years. So that has been very challenging. Mm-hmm. So while we have great retention at Suntan or at SST Group, we also have 50% of our staff turns over twice a year.
Yeah. Well, that's common also in that hourly wage.
Hourly wage.
Yeah. But I always hear compliments of your team and people's experience of going into the stores. And tell me about Urban Float. How did that come to be? And
a couple of guys came into my office and they were trying to raise money for this floating concept. And they had talked to a few people in town, and those few people said, if you want to raise money for this, you got to go talk to Scott. This is kind of what he could, maybe help you with. Mm-hmm. And they came into my office, and I said, hey, don't go any further. I will help.
And by the time this airs, you'll have been on Shark Tank, which is super cool. My kids are counting down the minutes to see their uncle on Shark Tank. Where does that business fit right now, and what were you trying to do on Shark Tank?
So, well, first of all, Shark Tank is like the Super Bowl of business. I mean, you go on Shark Tank and you're trying to raise money, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter if you get the money or you don't get the money. Being on Shark Tank, there's 9 to 11 million viewers, and really what our push to get on Shark Tank was to share the positive benefits of floating with everyone around the world, or I should say the United States.
So what was the application process like?
Well, I actually got a call 2 years ago from Shark Tank. And the guy on the phone, he says, yeah, my name's Max. I'm from Shark Tank. And I thought someone was punking me
Yeah.
because we love Shark Tank. And as a family, we watch Shark Tank every night that it's on. And we go through the whole process. I pause. I say, hey, who's in, who's out? Why are we investing? And that's what I do with our boys. And I thought I was being punked. And the guy's like, no, 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 you can look me up. And so I looked him up, and I'm like, okay, why are you calling me? And he said, well, I saw you on in Entrepreneur Magazine, and I would like you to consider filling out the application. Now, mind you, there's 45,000 applications, and what I was told, they don't call very many people.
That's an honor. That's awesome.
It was a total honor. So I started that process, and that was in 2017, and I did not make it on the 2018 season, but they called me back up last year and said, hey, we really want you on the show. Would you consider going through the process again? And we filmed last June, and I have had to not say anything for the last 7 months. You film, there's 45,000 applicants, and they film about 124, and they air about 96. So you don't know if you air until 2 weeks prior. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that I'm going to air.
I don't want to put you in a bad position. I won't ask any more questions. It'll be on, and we'll get to all watch it, and it's really exciting. So what were you trying to do on Shark Tank?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to drive franchise sales. So we have 7 franchisees around the country, 5 of whom have opened stores from Delaware to Columbus, Ohio, to Texas, to Tacoma, to Vancouver, Washington. And we've got a number of franchisees that are actively looking for more locations. So we've got 9 stores open. Our 10th store will be open next week. And we're actively selling franchises around the country.
So you're busy.
Yeah.
And that's when you thrive. That's what fuels you, staying busy. We're both the same way. I don't know where we got this from. And you've also gotten involved with TruFusion, which I'm personally beyond excited about.
We bought the rights to Washington State, mm-hmm. And we put together an investor group led by Alex Rodriguez and his now fiance, Russell Wilson and Ciara. Mm-hmm. And then we passed the hat in my YPO forum and a few other friends around town. And we are getting ready to open up our first location at Lincoln Square South. And our second will be in Ballard. Our third will be in Totem Lake.
Wow.
And these are large format group fitness facilities. We have 4 or 5 group fitness gyms within our gym. And it's unlimited classes, up to 230 classes a week. We have some of the best and brightest instructors. And I got involved with this. I want to really change the way the instructor community is treated. If you are a yoga instructor and you go and teach yoga in a facility in Ballard, you're going to teach 1 hour. It's going to take you, 45 minutes to get there. You got to set up, and it's going to take you 45 minutes to clean up and leave. So you're really working almost 3 hours, and you're being paid for 1 hour's worth of time. There is no one in the industry that is paid benefits. So we are really trying to change the face of the instructor, where we're going to offer them 401ks.
That's amazing.
And benefits. And again, this is really where I hope, having learned lessons, through years prior, of building a community and building a community of the people that are involved with us, our instructors, our members. We call them True Tribe. Join the True Tribe.
I'm a True Tribe member.
Yes, you are.
I'm excited. And so how do you go about splitting your time? Do you compartmentalize it in your mind?
I need help with that. I'm really good at going in and riling people up and then leaving. Mm-hmm. And I think, the people that I work really well with in my organization come to me with stuff that I need to solve for. I'm very good at solving. Come to me with issues. Let's solve for those issues and let's move on. I let people thrive in their environment. I am not a micromanager. I'm not a Monday morning quarterback. No question is a bad question. And I like people to kind of thrive in what it is that they are passionate about.
And so if you're thinking about, okay, wake up, it's a Monday morning, I've got all these things to do, I've got all these companies, employees, kids, is there a system that you use, or that's what you need help with, is finding process?
I mean, my Monday morning consists of going to the office, and I have a great executive team. I mean, I am one person. I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not good at. So I try and stay out of what I'm not good at, and I let my killer team that have been with me for a long time, I let them do what they're good at. And most of the time they kind of use me as an advisor. So they'll say, hey, this is what I'm thinking on this, or, Jeff will say, hey, here's where we're at with the bank. What do you want to do here? Or, Gabe or Ashley or Greg or Cass or JT, that's just on the SST side. They're the rock stars. I just get to support them in any way that they see fit. The nice thing about that is that it enables me to do things like I'm going to go home at 3:30 today and go watch my son play lacrosse. If I was doing everything or pretending to do everything, probably poorly, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. That's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. It's awesome. And so I also know that you are always so generous, always the first to step up, and so generous, even for organizations that you're not involved in. Where does that come from, and what feeling do you get from that?
Well, I think it comes from as a kid, Mom and Dad were very involved with nonprofits that they believed in. And I believe that, we're very fortunate. Any of us that have jobs, any of us that have our health, we're very fortunate, and it's our job to give back to those less fortunate. And so, literally, we will donate, typically services or goods, to any auction that asks.
Tell the listeners about the time that you took all the kids to the JT concert we got to go to.
Oh yeah, I've been known to corner the sweet market in the Key Arena, which is now under construction, but I used to buy a lot of the really cool suites. So JT, Justin Timberlake, was coming to town, and I think I bought 4 or 5 suites. And it was right around the same time that Children's Hospital was doing a phone-a-thon where they were raising money. It was with KISS. I think it was with KISS FM, and they asked me to come down and pep up the people on the phone or the people on the radio. And I, spur of the moment, said, you know what? Anyone that donates $10,000, and I led it with a $10,000 donation, or the company led it with a $10,000 donation, they would get to come to the JT concert in a limo bus. I would take everyone to dinner. We did it at I got Chef John Howie to take us all to dinner at the restaurant across the street there, and we took a dozen kids from Children's Hospital with the donors, and we went to the Justin Timberlake concert. And
I remember the look on those kids' faces that were all sick and with their loved ones, and it was incredible.
We also took about a half a dozen of the nurses. We did a little poll, and the kids got to vote on the best nurses, or the nurses that were giving of their time, and we moved mountains.
So that gives you a feeling of what?
I always like to press the envelope, and I said, I think we're going to raise $50,000, and I remember the disc jockeys that were there. They were like, "Oh, Scott, this that's crazy," and I'm like, "Watch this," and I remember Lennox Scott, who is the CEO of John L. Scott, was one of the volunteers, and he had a bunch of his staff members there, and he literally walked in as I was on the phone or on the radio, and I said, "Hey, Lennox, I just gave $10,000, and I think you should too." And he said, "What's the cause?" And I said, "To Children's Hospital. You get to come to Justin Timberlake." He said, "What's the date?" And I told him the date, and he goes, "Well, we're out of town." I said, "So what? Give $10,000." And he goes, "Okay." And then we had people actually call in and give $10,000. And
That's
we
amazing.
raised 67 something thousand dollars in less than, it was 28 minutes that we were watching.
Yeah. Well, I've also seen you at the ovarian cancer at the Rivkin auction, which is you like in your ultimate element. I mean, how much have you guys raised at the height? Last year was a big success.
Last year we raised $1.487 million in a 4-hour time.
Yeah. To watch your role in that organization has been remarkable because David and I have gone from the beginning and seen it, and it's grown. So big and affecting so many women's lives. And I love the way that you put it. When a couple of people are like, why is this cause close to you? It's like, well, because I have a sister and a fiance and a mother, and I have employees, and I care about women.
Yeah. I tell people we have 1,000 ovaries working for us.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of ovaries. And so what are some of the other lessons? I know that the boys have been able to pick up on, your philanthropic efforts and gotten to see you kind of speak to some of your business philosophies. But what are some that maybe you can share with some of our listeners for their own parenting? I know that I get some from you.
Well, I think certainly with the kids, I always tell them not to try and control what they cannot control. And they can only control themselves, whether it's their behavior, whether it's their grades, whether it's their friends. They can control what they can control, and don't try and control what you can't control. You end up wasting a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And for business, I always look at, learn from your strengths and then also learn from your weaknesses and surround yourself. I believe in surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you. So I love, being in a room where there's a bunch of people that are way smarter than I am. And that happens a lot because I'm just a guy with passion, right? One thing that I would say as I get older, patience. And that's the hardest thing I think to teach to kids today, because nothing around them teaches them patience. I mean, if our kids want to learn how to, cheat Minecraft, they simply go on YouTube and say, "How do I cheat Minecraft?" And there's a video on how to cheat Minecraft.
Oh, that's
or
so sad.
if you look at kind of the culture and the way the kids are being rewarded today, it's terrible. And I think that teaching them patience
and stick-to-itiveness.
and hard work, and nothing just happens overnight. I think that kids today look at some of their role models, which are, YouTube sensations, or, there's 14-year-old kids that have 2 million followers on YouTube or Instagram. In our world, when we grew up, we had, there's a step to doing this, there's the next step and the next step. And I think teaching kids about time and value of time and money and perseverance and patience and passion, all those things, those are all P's. I'm not sure why, and then with that comes power. And you use that power in good ways, not bad ways. So that's really big for me as well. There's a lot of people that become quote unquote powerful, whether it's Instagram followers or YouTube followers or, CEOs, and they use their power in really poor ways.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think you've done a great job with the boys. They're all remarkable, and it obviously takes a village, and Brooke's been amazing beyond. So in 10 years' time, where do you see your life personally and professionally?
Well, personally, I would like to say that I hope to be traveling more, and all the kids will be, in theory, out of college.
God willing.
God willing. I mean, Luke and Vince and Max will just be getting out of college. Jacob will be 20, almost 28.
Maybe you'll work with one of the
maybe
kids.
work with one of them, but I don't know that ever works out really well. At least, most of the people that I know, they complain about their fathers. And in turn, those fathers complained about their fathers, and
Same thing with mothers and daughters. It's hard, but that would be kind of cool. What kinds of things are you doing to give back in the schools? I know you've done some stuff with high schools.
I guess people call me an entrepreneur, and I guess now I'm finally saying, okay, I guess I'm an entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, you've had like 8, 10 companies. You've had a lot of
Yeah,
companies.
I like it's
Almost
fun
as
for
many
me.
cars.
No, way more cars. I've been I've gone a few times to the high school, Swerland High School, and I've done international business kind of discussion, and then I've done a couple of entrepreneur discussions where kids can come in and ask me, what it's like to be an entrepreneur.
And
What
do you like teaching?
I think so. I can tell you that the feedback from the kids has been great. They're and but the kids, they seem to like it, and I filled a couple of rooms, so that actually was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun when you realize that what you think is maybe not that interesting to them is like incredibly interesting because you've been doing it for so long that it's just innate.
Yeah.
And you know how to build businesses.
This was last week, my last time at the high school, and I shared with them that I was going to be on Shark Tank, and they all freaked out. So,
Well, yeah, I saw the Facebook post. You're going to have a lot of viewers. I got a text from people from the East Coast that are like, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It was the coolest business experience I've ever had in my life. I was up in front of the sharks for about an hour, and
Did you get tripped up at all?
I didn't get tripped up. I was having a lot of out-of-body experience. Like watching, I was up in the rafters looking down on myself,
Yeah.
going at it with like Mark Cuban. If they aired everything in a positive light, it'll be very positive. I don't think that I, did any of my weird twitching. I don't think that I did anything, where I get nervous and look like a deer in headlights. I think my business partner had a few deer in headlights looks because he told me. Of course, I didn't see them, but he said he felt like he got stunned a few times.
Mm-hmm. Was Mr. Wonderful was nice?
Kevin was, I will tell you, when I walked down the hallway and we gave our pitch, and then he asked a little bit about my background, he said, "Wow, you're the real deal. This is unbelievable." And then the producers kind of stopped and said, did O'Leary just say that? And this was as I'm like
That's a great
watching
beginning.
down on myself. This was like in the first 3 minutes. And so I said to Kevin, I said, coming from you, that means a lot. I appreciate it.
And then did you start talking about wine?
No.
Just kidding.
And I said, yeah, at Urban Float, we can sell you wine. And he, my relationship with Costco, of course, yeah. You'll see in the show that he and I went back and forth, and they were all very positive. Lori Grenier was just to my right, and she is so full of life. You can almost feel her energy and her calmness at the same time coming out. I felt like she was holding me, and obviously she wasn't, but it was having her up there that made me calm down, because the other guys were very just like me. They're very all over the board. There's no rhyme or reason to anything. They're on their phones. They're yelling. They're trying to throw you off your game. And Lori was just sitting there calmly breathing.
Was Barbara there?
Barbara was not there.
But the other guy was there.
So on my left was Mark, and then Damon,
Yeah.
and then Kevin, and then Lori, and then a guy named Matt Higgins.
It's Matt Higgins that I saw because they just showed the preview and they show Matt Higgins. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a cool, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I hope everyone was happy with the, with.
Well, they'll be entertained for sure. You've got a lot of energy. The final question I have that I ask all of our guests is, what fuels you?
I think, what fuels me now is just life. I mean, there's so many positive things that I get to be a part of, and from kids to family to YPO has been very important to me, and then being a positive, trying to be a positive leader in today's kind of interesting society. that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, well, I think you're doing a good job at that. I tell you directly, but I also hear it behind your back, all the nice things that you do for people. And it is really the little things. It's not the big things. The Shark Tank is huge, but it's all the little stories of the time that you helped this person, or the time you connected this person, or the time you stepped up for that friend. That's the part of you that I think fuels me.
Well, thank you. I think that, both of us are connectors, which is wild. Beyond connectors. I mean,
Yes.
I get probably a text every other day.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hey, do you have this person's contact info? Hey, can you make this intro? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you get a little jolt of energy from it, which not everybody does. Most people don't like to do that. But for us, for whatever reason, I think that's Mom. We got that from Mom, I think.
yeah, it's weird.
Like eating French fries off other people's plates.
Well, I wouldn't do that.
But Mom does.
Oh, those look good.
Those look good. You guys gonna eat those?
Are you going to eat all those?
Thank you for listening to the What Fuels You podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us on social media to keep up with the latest news and episodes. You can also contact us at podcast@fueltalent.com to provide feedback, ask questions, and share topics or guests you would like us to cover in the future. We hope you feel inspired by our guests and that we have helped fuel your day. Join us next time for another episode of What Fuels You.